Hello and welcome to the video. This is the second part in a two-part series about tripods, and today we're going to look at these guys, tripod heads. So welcome to this, the second of a two-part series on tripods. The last one was all about tripod legs, and if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link on the back of the video to show you. So what am I going to show you today? Well, I'm going to talk to you today about where I would spend my money on a tripod, and that is on the head, because these will last you, in my opinion, a lot longer than the legs will. We're going to go through the pros and cons of each type. So we've got ball and socket, we've got a gimbal head, and we've got this geared head, which is new to me. I've never tried one before. Before we go on though, it is important to say that this GD3W geared head from kfconcept has been sent to me by KNF, and they've asked me to do a review on it. They've not told me what to say, but they have sent me the tripod to use, head to use. I haven't used it much. I've used it twice so far, so I haven't really got that firm opinions on it. However, I'm going to give you my first thoughts on it. We're going to have a quick look around it and its various features and things that I'm excited about, because I think this could be my next tripod head. If you like what you see, I've also got an exclusive 10% affiliate code for you to use, which will give you 10% off anything, and the brilliant KNF product catalogue across the range. Doesn't have to be a tripod head. So if you click the link down below and put in the code Dave Peck, then you'll get 10% off everything in the store, and full disclaimer, I get a little kickback as well, so help support the channel. Right, let's have a look then at these various heads, and we'll start with these ball and sockets. So these are probably the most common type of tripod head that you will see. They're called ball and sockets. The only difference between these two, apart from this is more heavy duty, are the mounts at the top. This is Arca Swiss. This is a Manfrotto quick release plate. So these are very, very popular, and you'll see most tripods like this. There's got some various pros and cons on that, mostly pros. And this is probably the problem with this one, in as much as that mount is kind of unique to Manfrotto. Right, let's do it. First of all, I'll put one on this tripod. So here's Winston. You'll notice that on the bottom here, we've got 2 screw threads, and that is pretty much universal across tripod heads and across tripods. So you'll be able to attach any of these tripod heads to any tripod legs that you have. So important to think about that. If you decide to buy a tripod, you don't have to buy the head with it. So all we do with this, and I'm going to use this one, this is a 3-legged thing airhead, one of the older ones, just screws on the top like that. So first of all, the benefits of the Arca Swiss system. And if you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I use an L bracket. An L bracket is there for a couple of reasons. First of all, it allows me to attach really quickly onto this Arca Swiss plate here. I'll just do that up, and that allows me to, so that's now sturdy, and that allows me to shoot landscape. But with an L bracket, I could also quickly unattach this and fix it that way. And now I can now shoot portrait. And the benefit of that system over a Manfrotto system is that this bit is so bulky, you can't get an L bracket for it. So with this, what you have to do, and all ball and socket heads do that, can you see there's 2 little gaps here, there and there? So when you undo this one release button, you can hold your camera like that, which is quite good, apart from if you've got a really big long lens on. That puts an awful lot of strain on this ball head. although it's actually resting against the metal, but even so. That's the Manfrotto system. So whichever type of tripod head you buy, I would really recommend you look at the top plate and make sure that's Arca Swiss. That will allow you to use it on L brackets, and it's a much more interchangeable. Accessories that you buy for this will fit onto your tripod. Now, let's have a look at the ball and socket head itself, how it works, and why I've used it for many, many years. So, ball and socket heads. Let's show you close up with this Manfrotto one. A ball and socket is the most common tripod head that you'll find, and it works very simply. There's a metal ball here which sits inside this collar, and then when you tighten things up, the collar will squeeze that shut and holds it very tightly. It's pretty rigid, although there's a caveat to that which I'll talk to you about in a second. And that's how it works. You can have it at any angle. This one's a bit stiff, but it's quite a big tripod head, and it kind of clamps quite well. If I show you this one, so the reason I've used ball and socket for many, many years, it is really for speed. It's a two-handed operation, but what I can do is I can literally unfasten this main thing, line up my shot, and tighten up. Simple as that, really. I can have the tripod legs whichever way I want. I haven't got to have them facing a certain way, so that all kind of works. I can literally just focus up a shot and use the spirit level in the back and get it working, shoot my shot. So really, really, really quick to use. However, there's a couple of little problems with this which have annoyed me over the years and niggle me, and I'll talk to you about those. The first niggle with a ball and socket, which I've kind of had for a while and not really been a major problem, but it does annoy me that if I'm vlogging and I've got you in my hands and I need to adjust the framing of this, it's a two-handed operation, so I have to hold the camera, otherwise it's just going to fall, undo the main tightening screw, get it level, tighten it up, which is fine when I'm just shooting, and it may be fine for you, but if I'm vlogging or I've got a camera, I have to put you on the tripod. I can't have you kind of flapping about because I can't work with it. So two-handed operation with a ball and socket may not be a problem for you, but for me, something I could do without. So that's the first niggle. And the second niggle is when I'm using this. So if you're using a long super zoom, even if it's connected like this one is by the foot, you get something which I've not ever had a ball and socket head that's not done this. I'm not sure what the technical name is. I'm going to call it ball socket bounce, because you can frame something up, tighten up the screw, let go, and it will just drop. And actually, if you remember the video from Flatford where I photographed the church, those were blurred, and that's because this tripod head wasn't holding this lens very still. Now you can get different strengths of ball and socket head, and I've used about 10 in my life, and I've never ever ever come across one that doesn't have ball head bounce. Let me show you what I mean. So let me take you into the camera. This is at 400mm. It's connected obviously on the tripod collar itself, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen this off. Let me just focus this up a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to try and get that rhododendron there right at the top, so you can see it's a little bit more fiddly with a long lens, and this is one of the problems with a ball and socket. If I now tighten this up really tightly, and watch what happens when I move it. See that drop? Watch it again. I'm going to tighten it up. Oops. Let's try it again. So let's go there. Watch the flowers at the top there, those rhododendrons, beautiful, aren't they? Just going to tighten this up and I'll let go. See that? So when you're trying to work at the long end of a telephoto and the composition is really fine. And with woodland stuff, it often is. I want to try and work on my composition. It's really, really tough. So one of the major downsides for me for a ball and socket head, and it doesn't matter in my experience which one you buy, if you're trying to do long telephoto stuff, it's really fiddly because your composition ends up getting compromised. However, what I tend to do, and this is not the best thing to do, is I just tend to zoom out a bit and then crop when I'm in Lightroom, which is another way around it. So it's kind of not all bad news, but if you're the sort of guy or girl who likes to really fine tune your composition in the field, and I do like to do that because it's all about photography, and you do a lot of woodland, then maybe a ball and socket, it's not really for you. But it's a good old rounder. There are so many of them available on the market. They're really, really quick to use as long as you've got two hands free and as long as you're prepared for a little bit of ball socket bounce. And this is another sort of tripod head you can get. This is quite unusual to see and probably not used very much for landscape photography because this is a gimbal head. And these are really used for sports wildlife photography. I bought this because I was photographing some birds, and I'll put some of the images up here. So I really enjoy and I really like that kind of shoot. But most of the stuff I do is landscape photography. And the way this works, it's again, an Arca Swiss plate, so that Arca Swiss plate that you had on the other tripod you can use on this one. The idea is you move this forward and back so it's balanced, tighten it up, and then what you can do is you can unswing this bit, lock it into place, and then if you see a bird coming you can quickly unlock it. And it works a bit like an artillery gun in the war. Tighten it up, and you've also, if you want to, you can lock that plane there. You can do this, and the idea is of a good one of those will hold that lens in place because it's very balanced. So actually, you can feel how light that is. That's a really useful thing, and I found it really useful for wildlife photography. For landscape photography, downsides, it's very big. It's large. The profile of that, look, it's quite huge. It would get stuck in things if I go under trees. If it's on the end of my tripod, it's going to be bulky on my bag, and it doesn't really kind of help me because I'm not using long lenses all the time. With a wide angle, that would be very difficult. But that's a gimbal head. So let's talk about this. So this is a geared head, and these are very popular now with landscape photographers. I'd imagine if you're a macro photographer or an architectural photographer, this is also going to be on your radar. There are different heads you can get from different manufacturers. Obviously, there are some cheaper ones and some really expensive ones. But I want to talk about this one. This is the kfconcept GD3W. You can see we've got scales on the outside of it. It's got a bubble head here, and it's got a little bubble on there, so you can get it level if you're doing architectural stuff or maybe panoramics as far as I'm concerned. We've got three angles of movement here. This goes on this plane here, which is perfect actually. Once I've got a panoramic ready to go, I can literally go 1, 2, 3, click, 1, 2, 3, click. So really useful for panoramics. This knob adjusts it this way. You can see it leaning forward like that. And then this one goes forward and back. So that's really nice for micro precision. Now you could say, well actually hold on Dave, that's not very quick if you're photographing something over there. Well, what you've also got is these collars which you can just, again, one-handed twist, and I can do that. So I can get it into roughly the right position, let go, and then fine tune it. Same for this one, obviously. So turn it, get it in the right position, let go, fine tune it, and the same for this. So if I photograph these rhododendrons again, take you back in the camera, look what I can do with this gear head that I couldn't do with a ball head. and possibly a gimbal head. Okay, so remember with this one, with the ball and socket head, we've got ball head bounce. Well, this, look, so easy just to adjust this in the right plane. I can just get that really finely tuned. There we go, perfectly framed. Bash. Let me just read out some of the stats, because some of this is quite amazing. It's made of high quality aluminium. Now, I have said that aluminium dense, but that feels really solid. This bit in here where the Arca Swiss plate clips in, it's quite deep and it's quite grooved as well, because that's often where tripod heads or Arca Swiss plates can let you down, because they're not all the same. And if that's rounded, there's a chance your camera can fall off. But that's felt very, very solid whenever I've used it. There's a couple of little inlays here for the screws in the bottom of the plate to go in, which I quite like. So that feels, on the cameras in there, feels very solid. We've got a spirit level bubble here, and we've got another one on the end there. This is ideal for doing panoramics to get everything level. I've also got one on the tripod, and we'll talk about that when I talk to you about panoramics very soon. This is very, very secure. It doesn't loosen, it doesn't feel like it's too tight to turn. It's beautifully gnarled, so I can grab hold of that in the freezing cold when my hands are numb or I've got gloves on. That's not going to slip, and that would annoy me. So these are really solid. They're rubber. They're very, very good. They don't feel cold to the hand to touch. These collars are metal, and they do feel very stiff, but I would rather they were really stiff than loose. We've got 360 degree dial here. We've got a 360 degree dial here. Actually, it's got right angles both. It's got 0 to 180 both ways, so you can see what angle you're at. And if you're doing panoramics, then this one on the top here is really good, because I can literally go 1, 2, 3. The colour scheme is nice. It works really, blends in really nicely with my tripod. This black aluminium looks really, really smart. I don't know whether it will chip. Time will tell. I like the orange of these rings, look quite nice, and it does look quite classy. So that's important. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to test this over the next few months, and I will do another review after 3 months or so to let you know my feelings, and I might well be talking to you about it when I'm doing some videos. So stay tuned. Well, I hope you've got something out of that. Again, if you haven't seen part 1 of this series, which was all about the legs, then go and check out my channel, subscribe to find your way back, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description down below, and there'll be a card at the end. So I think I'm going to go and photograph this beautiful bluebell wood, which looks amazing, smells wonderful. There'll be a video of that coming up soon, so make sure you hit the notification bell, and that will tell you exactly when that lands. So until next Sunday, 6 o'clock, I'll see you next time. Take care.